Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Lillahi ta'ala. Qala al-muallif rahimahullah. The author, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, وَيَكْفُرُ مَنْ يَقُولُ مُعَمِّمًا كَلَامَهُ الْكَلْبُ أَحْسَنُ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ. And blasphemes whoever says, while generalizing his speech, the dog is better than the human. This expression is explicit blasphemy. Ash-SharH هذا اللفظ لفظ عام يؤدي إلى تكذيب قول الله تعالى وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. The explanation is that this expression is a generalization that leads to belying the saying of Allah, exalted is He, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. One might translate it as Allah has honored the children of Adam. It means, I'm not sure at the moment what might be the best word, but it means that Allah has given the human being certain privileges and advantages over other creations, like giving him intellect and giving him hands and fingers and enabling him to eat with his hands instead of putting his face in his food, and giving him a nice shape, not making him like the bugs and things like this, and other endowments like making him tahir, not najasa. A dog is filthy, a pig is filthy. So there's many things taken from this ayah about what Allah has done for the human being. So whoever says the dog is better than the human, he blasphemes. وَأَمَّا إِن كَانَ هَذَا الشَّخْصُ فِي كَلَامِهِ قَرِينَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَى أَنَّهُ أَحْسَنُ مِنَ الشَّخْصِ الْمُخَاطَبِ في بعض الخصال كالوفاء لصاحبه الذي يرعاه فلا يكفر. As for if this person in his talk was a clue, meaning some context that indicates that the dog is better than the person in particular who's being addressed in some ways, like being faithful to the one who takes care of him, then he doesn't blaspheme. So here, this is a generalization, a blasphemous generalization. Similar to that is what the Shaykh told us in the summary, mukhtasar. Whoever says, damn all the scholars. If there's an indication that he meant the scholars of his time or the scholars of his area, then he does not blaspheme, but that's haram to say. Or else, the statement on its generality is blasphemy. How could one damn all the scholars while Allah has praised the scholars? And also, here's another example of a generality. قال المؤلف رحمه الله, the author, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, أو من يقول العرب جرب, or like whoever says the Arabs are scabies, I think. أما إذا خصص كلامه لفظا أو بقرينة الحال كقوله اليوم العرب فسدوا ثم قال العرب جرب فلا يكفر. As for if he specifies his speech verbally, like he says, I mean you, for example. Yani, he said the general statement. He said the Arabs are scabies or something like that. So a statement that generalizes all the Arabs, which would include the prophets. That's why it's blasphemy. Some prophets. And then he says, I mean you. So that part there shows that he did not commit blasphemy by his statement. أما إذا خصص كلامه لفظا, as for if he specifies his speech verbally, أو بقرينة الحال, or by the context clues. I forgot that the word clues often goes along with the word context. That makes it easier for me to translate qarina as context, because qarina means clue or associating matter. Qarina is an associating matter. أما إذا خصص كلامه لفظا أو بقرينة الحال, as for if he specifies his talk verbally or by the context clues, كقوله اليوم العرب فسدوا, like if he were to say, today the Arabs are corrupt. So now he's not generalizing all Arabs. ثم قال, and then he says, generalizing, العرب جرب, the Arabs are scabies. So what he previously said is the clue that his generalization is actually limited. فلا يكفر, then he does not blaspheme. الشرح يكفر من قال هذه الكلمة مع التعميم. The explanation is that whoever says this word with generality blasphemes. لأن كلامه هذا شمل الأنبياء وغيرهم, because this talk of his has included the prophets, meaning some of them, and others like the awliya, who were Arabs who were awliya. قال المؤلف رحمه الله, the author, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, ويكفر من يسمي الشيطان ببسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, and blasphemes whoever calls the devil Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. لا إن ذكر البسملة بنية التعوذ بالله من شره, not if he mentions the Basmalah with the intention of seeking refuge with Allah from the devil's evil. This means that someone would put the word Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in the place of the devil. So instead of saying the devil, he would say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So if someone said Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim came, or someone said, do you know who's here? It's Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and he means by that the devil, then that's blasphemy. But not if the person was seeking refuge with Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala from the devil by doing that. Yani in his mind, that's what he thinks he's doing. Like imagine some old lady who hasn't learned very well, and she says, it's Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. She doesn't want to say the devil. So if she's naming the devil Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, that's blasphemy. If she's just like wanting to seek refuge with Allah from the devil, and she doesn't want to mention his name, and she's saying the Basmalah with the intention of seeking refuge, then it's not blasphemy. الشرح هذه الكلمة الشريفة من جعلها عبارة عن الشيطان يكفر. The explanation, this noble word, whoever makes it an expression of the devil or a reference to the devil, he blasphemes. أما من قال بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم عند إرادة ذكر الشيطان بنية التعوذ بالله من شره. As for whoever said Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim when intending to mention the devil, but with the intention of seeking refuge with Allah from the devil's evil, كأنه يريد الشيطان يحفظنا الله من شره ببركة البسملة, as if this speaker means to say, the devil, may Allah protect us from his evil by the blessing of the Basmalah, فلا يكفر, then this person would not blaspheme. وهذا يجري على ألسنة كثير من العوام على وجه يوهم أن الشيطان هو بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And this runs off of the tongues of many of the laymen in a way that gives the impression that the devil is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So this case that the Shaykh mentioned here is a great example of someone who says a word while he's not realizing what it means at the moment he's saying it, or something close to that. So you imagine that you encountered a person who said, like you encountered some old lady who said, it's Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And you know she means the devil. So after learning, how are you going to tackle that? You're going to say, this lady thinks that what she's saying is, it's the devil, may Allah protect us from him by the Bismillah. And she doesn't know that what she's saying is not right. She shouldn't be constructing her sentence this way. It doesn't really work. So you don't call her a kafir, you just teach her. So like that, what if someone said, holy this? If he doesn't know what it means, don't say, well, you know this what this word means, you know what this word means. Don't say it like that. Just see if he understands what words mean when he says them or not. He thinks it means something else, or thinks he can use it in a certain way that really he can't. Then you just help the person. Or someone says, La mawjuda illallah, nothing exists but God. He thinks it means God has power over everything. Or he says God is everywhere, and he thinks it means God has power over everything. Like that, you teach the person. At the least, you don't rush to judge the person as a kafir. That's out of understanding how people speak, understanding what people mean by their expressions. قال المؤلف رحمه الله, the author, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, وهناك بعض الشعراء والكتاب يكتب كلمات كفرية. The author, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, and there are some poets and writers who write blasphemous words, كما كتب أحدهم هرب الله, like how some of them wrote God ran away. Like, you know how a poet might be boasting, for example. A poet might say something foolish like, even God would run away from me, or something like that. Like how one rapper said, you would rather be in hell with gasoline underwear than to challenge me in a rap contest. That's blasphemy. فهذا من سوء الأدب مع الله الموقع في الكفر. This is from the bad manners with Allah that drop a person into blasphemy. وقد قال القاضي عياض في كتابه الشفاء, and Judge Iyad said in his book Ash-Shifa, لا خلاف أن ساب الله تعالى من المسلمين كافر انتهى. There is no difference no difference among the Muslims, that the insulter of God, exalted is he, is a blasphemer. End quote. ويكفر من يستحسن هذه الأقوال والعبارات, and blasphemes does whoever deems good these sayings and expressions. وما أكثر انتشارها في مؤلفات عديدة, and oh, how widespread are they in many works. Here, this sentence, وما أكثر انتشارها, with a fatha on akthara and a fatha on intisharaha. وَمَا أَكْثَرَ انتشارها, that's ta'ajjub. That means it's surprise or amazement. So the statement means, and oh, how widespread are they in many authorings. الشرح أن قائل كلمة هرب الله كفر لأنه استخف بالله. The explanation is that the one who said the word God ran away blasphemed because he has belittled God. ونسب إليه تحيز في المكان والحركة والفرار, and he has attributed to him containment in place and motion and flight, or escaping or running away. وما قاله القاضي عياض في كتاب الشفا دليل على كفر من قال مثل هذه الألفاظ الشنيعة باتفاق العلماء. And what Judge Riyad said in the book Ash-Shifa is evidence for the blasphemy of whoever said the likes of these ugly expressions by the agreement of the scholars. And he's saying it's evidence as a signal to the consensus therein. La khilafa min al-muslimin. They didn't differ about that. Because the saying of a scholar in itself is not evidence. And a scholar like Shaykh Abdullah does not call that an evidence haphazardly. He's a muhaqqiq, he's meticulous. So he doesn't say something that you can usually criticize. Usually you are unable to criticize the words of the Shaykh because of his exactness. He said, what was the point about the evidence? What's the evidence in our religion? Quran, Sunnah, consensus, and qiyas. Quran, Sunnah, consensus, and qiyas. Legal comparison or analogy. That's evidence in our religion. That's dalil. So what did the Shaykh say? He said, what Judge Riyad said is dalil. When does the word of a scholar become a dalil? The word of a scholar, an individual scholar, is not dalil. So how would a meticulous scholar like Shaykh Abdullah call something evidence? Unless it really was evidence. So where's the evidence then? It's not just because Judge Riyad said it. It's the consensus. The consensus is the evidence. Judge Riyad is logging that consensus in his book Ash-Shifa. That's clear?